do 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 do. That's the Mario song. That's not Call of Duty. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another beautiful episode of Franchise Unpacked. I'm your host, Zach.
And I'm your host, Dave.
For those of you who don't know us.
Yeah, first-time listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome. We love you.
Yeah, okay, before we dive into things, I just got to say, I am blown away. So
we had the craziest response yet.
Yeah, so for those of you listening for the first time or those repeat listeners, we just record this at my apartment, little studio room. And Dave walked in today. You know, he came over. We're getting ready to record. And I popped open Reddit because we love to interact with, you know, the franchises communities. Like, that's such a huge part of these franchises is the communities that back them. So I started this thread on Reddit that I was just like, you know, what are some of your favorite Call of Duty facts? And normally when we post, we'll get, you know, 2, 3
tepid at best.
Yeah.
Very
and it's cool,
lukewarm response.
Yeah. And you know, and some people, one person, it was so funny. They I think it was when we were doing Chucky. They were like, "Why? So you're just going to steal our responses?" I'm like, "No, this is just our research."
So, I think the quote was, "So how much of the podcast is going to be responses from this?"
Yeah,
I was like downvote. You're like, bury the comment.
So we posted this to r/Call of Duty, and I was like, I'm just going to check and see, because earlier we had like 2 comments. I'm like, that was great. I was happy. Over 111 upvotes, which I know isn't like viral.
Doesn't
whatever.
sound crazy, but for us, that's huge. 60
comments. I'm like, what is going on?
So props to the Reddit community.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We're parsing through all this cool information and all the replies and people, like some really neat facts that I don't know how they found them out.
Yeah.
Because I did doing my research, you know, you have your usual places, your Wikipedias, your Googles and whatnots, but like, I was like, that's blown away by something. So hopefully we will be getting to some of these facts. Both Zach and I have them pulled up on our note devices.
Yeah, you know, and who knows? We might change up our format a little bit at the end. We might just read a little bit of Reddit for you.
If we get a good enough Reddit responses, we might do like, and now, like a listeners section. That's fun.
Yeah,
I like that.
I think that's a good time.
Listener
Everybody
questions
loves it.
And facts.
So we've
fun.
We've missed you guys. It's been a week. Well,
it's been busy.
For us, it's been like 4 days because we recorded last week's episode late. But we're excited to be here today.
We are,
and we're excited to talk about the one, the only Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, yeah. I was late to it myself, but one of my favorite series. I think that's the term.
Serial
series. But yeah, like we always like to do. Where did we get started in the franchise?
Yeah.
What about where did you first experience Call of Duty, Zach?
Modern Warfare. Well, kind of. So there was, maybe it wasn't Modern Warfare, because wasn't there Call of Duty? There was 3 and 4.
4 is Modern Warfare.
4 is Modern. Okay, so 3.
4 was the first in 2007. The first Modern Warfare. So
Call of Duty 3. Is what made me get an Xbox 360.
Really?
I remember it so vividly. I was at I think I was here, but it was at like a Target or a Kmart, one of those.
Sure.
I was there with my grandma, and I saw this brand new like Xbox 360 display, and it had Call of Duty up.
Was it like one of the pack, like you get the system, you get the game?
Yeah. But it was one of those like little kiosks where you could stand in the aisle and play, and you know, just like broadcast to the world that you're single.
Hours were spent at those kiosks.
Oh yeah.
If I was at the mall, it's like I'm going to the arcade. I'm going to the free N64 at FYE to play Majora's Mask.
You know that you can buy those. You can buy those kiosks. They're like
with
thousands of dollars.
The clear dome.
Yep.
Oh my god! Like they used to. I remember they used to have them in like Pizza Huts and or like.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Those like Tim Hortons or something like that. But yeah, go on. Or not Tim Hortons.
So anyway, I remember I picked it up and I played it, and you know, I had played GoldenEye and I had played just a bunch of games for like N64, PlayStation, but
Halo. We'd already played Halo.
Yep, I had played Halo, but I gotta say, when I picked up the controller for Call of Duty 3, it felt so real. Like it was the first game that like the haptic feedback was just it was beautiful, and like the graphics looked great. I mean, still to this day they hold up.
And one of the main I remember. And that's not my exact history. I'll get in mine in a little bit. You're a little ahead of me in the game.
And that I didn't end up. I don't even think buying Call of Duty 3.
Oh, you didn't? You just played it?
I played it and I loved it. And then I think it must have been shortly thereafter Call of Duty 4 came out, and that was
it was only
Modern
2
Warfare.
years later.
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
No, 1 year later.
Was it?
It was literally 06 and then 07.
They have a tendency to do that, it seems.
Yeah, I especially when it's like especially with 3, that was still in the 1-2 genre, so it's not too much of a leap technology wise to produce it, but Modern Warfare was an entire new.
I just remember there was a lot going on. Like there was, unlike Halo, and don't get me wrong, I love Halo. But unlike Halo, there was stuff going on all over the screen. You know what I mean? There were enemies popping up in windows that if I wanted to, I could, take aim just with the iron sights and pick them off. And sometimes with games like Halo or GoldenEye, unless you had a very specific weapon, you did not have that option.
You don't have, you couldn't. And I really wanted to get into that. Was Call of Duty 3 the first one to bring up iron sights? Or was it the earlier, or have all the Call of Duties done that?
I'd have to go back and double check because I haven't played the earlier one, like the 1 and 2.
My history with it is the very first one I ever played was Modern Warfare 4 because it was, or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare in 2007. I bought it for PC. Because in that, I was still in the Counter-Strike days and still, if I was playing a first-person shooter, I was playing it on a PC. I like those controls. And I remember being blown away by just the ability to bring up iron sight. Yeah,
I think it was in 3. I could be wrong. If it wasn't actual pull-up iron sights, I remember that it gave you the accuracy of the iron sight.
It felt better. Accuracy improved if you were sitting still.
But that was huge on Call of Duty 4.
And when we say bringing up iron sight, it's the idea of, say you're holding a controller. For those of you who might not have played these
non-gamers or anything like that.
Back in the day, like in GoldenEye, if you hit the L trigger or like the Z, which was like the zoom, you would literally bring up a targeting reticle and you wouldn't be able to move. Your gun wouldn't move, but you were able to point where you were firing as opposed to just like kind of auto aiming. But you were kind of stationary and it kind of like locked you into a cannon mode. Whereas if you had maybe a sniper rifle, it would actually bring up a zoomed barrel and you could move around with that, but that not much. In the Call of Duty games, especially with 4 and then on, or maybe even 3, iron sights is realistically, like if you're holding a pistol, you can shoot from the hip by not aiming, or you can bring it up and run around and still be aiming while running around and moving as freely as you were as hip fire, but you're looking down the actual barrel of the weapon now. You are improving and the accuracy improves. Just the ability to see a straight line, really like what your gun is making, it made it so realistic that I was like, well, this literally has changed the first-person shooter game.
Oh, 100%.
Every game after that, if it didn't have iron sights, it was basically panned into non-existence.
Well, and so these first couple games, guys, as we're looking through here, Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3 especially, they had some heavy competition with Medal of Honor.
It was tough. Yeah, they were dealing with Moha and or Medal of Honor Allied Assault was one of the biggest games. My buddy Joe played competitively. He like played on a team that made money for that stuff.
And Medal of Honor was great.
I think Medal of Honor had them kind of beat on the multiplayer front. They would push more for, I think there was more of a Steam-like community, like a Counter-Strike-like community of competition, where I didn't hear about Call of Duty stuff until a little bit later into the series, when I think like Modern Warfare 2 came out. Leaderboards started appearing. That kind of element of gaming occurred.
And for anybody listening for the first time, we've said this in the past, but truly we are just lovers of these franchises. We love talking about them and dissecting them, but we're not experts.
Yeah. We might sound like we're saying factual stuff about like the leaderboards and the online presence. It's literally my experience.
Right. Yeah,
I knew Medal of Honor was online. There was more of an online community for that. I knew that because I just felt like there were more people playing it online. Yeah. Whereas Call of Duty, it was far more story oriented.
I like story oriented. I think that's just shorten it up.
Hey, syllables. But one of the other cool things, in like you were mentioning, the haptic feedback and like the realism of it. And I love the fact that you'd run up to something, and if you like meleeed or if you interacted, it was a realistic interaction. Right. You would see your character throw his arms on a fence to grapple over it. Like you'd see your character literally lift himself up and the gun would change. It looked, instead of just like clunkily jumping over, you know what I'm saying? Like there was, and it wasn't like it forced you into a video. But like it, and I noticed that the new Dooms have done it with like the takedowns in the new Doom. It does lock you out of control for a brief second to give you an animation.
Yeah, it's like a cinematic without being a cinematic.
The momentum is still going. You're not leaving your character. You're not even leaving gameplay really. It's just like a 1 second. Oh, that's a cool.
Right.
I'm actually seeing the guy pull the pin out of the grenade as opposed to just you see it whip out of his body.
Right.
It's stuff like that this attention to detail, and that they were going for that human interaction too. You play a soldier with a group of guys who are, you get connected to them.
Well, and I think so I think for the sake of this conversation, we can kind of just dive in with Call of Duty 4 because I think that's the one that really I mean, the other 3 Call of Duties, I'm looking at just some, like they have some scores here that I'm looking at, and they did very well. I mean, they got rated very well, but Modern Warfare was the one, for me anyway, that every single one of my friends had Modern Warfare.
It was crazy.
And if you didn't have an Xbox for Modern Warfare, you got an Xbox
or a
Modern
PC.
Warfare.
If you would, you had to find it.
Or PC, yeah.
And I don't know what it was. I think it was the idea of, I had never played a first-person shooter where you could level your character up.
Right.
You know, you started customization, your loadouts, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, like I guess you could in other games you could unlock better loadouts or more weapon sets, I guess. But the thing was, this, you felt like the ability to prestige. You saw your rank. People saw your rank.
Well, and prestige was the biggest thing. I mean, I remember so vividly.
Modern Warfare 2, I prestiged like 4 or 5 times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, my brother was the one that prestiged more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he had so much time. He was like way more successful than I was.
And for those of you who don't know what prestiging is, it's leveling to the max and then literally restarting your character at a prestige level. So it shows you've prestiged, but you're now back at level 1. And you're re-going through it, but you usually you unlock something by prestiging. You get a better something or
I think you can
slot.
I forget what all the perks were.
Something very awesome.
But the biggest perk was showing that medal next to your name. And when you joined a match,
you looked at those badges, those ranks.
If somebody had like, that crazy rank,
the 5 stars,
like
generals,
they've prestiged 1,000 times. You're like, I'm so happy they're on my team. Yep. So that was a big thing, and it was one of the first games that I've ever played that once you hit the top, it made you want to say, yeah, scrap it, let's go again.
Let's do it again. Yeah, because you realize you're so good at that point too that you're like, give me any gun. I'll make it work. I'll figure this out. I know my play style now. Also, another great thing about the online or the multiplayer was kill streaks. Getting that 3, 5, and 7 or 8 kill streak, you'd get bonuses to call in to help your team. Like if I kill 3 people in a row without dying, I get to call UAV. Now my team has radar for 30 seconds. We're going to do that much better. It started introducing the squad, squad-based gameplay a little bit without going as far as the newer. Have you played the new Battlefield games?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
I love how
Incredible.
they've done it. Like you get your squad of 5, even though the team could be 30.
Right,
You've got your dudes and you can switch them out. But like it's awesome to play with different types of characters, different classes.
Right.
You help each other out. You get more experience by helping each other out correctly.
And you would get those loadouts too. Like, you could go in and I'd say, oh man, I really like this combo and build it out, and then you're ready to drop in.
I want to be like more of an aggressive rocket guy. So I might have a shotgun and then this rocket launcher and all these grenades.
Well, even in Call of Duty though, I mean, they gave you a lot of those options, and the more maybe that was it. It's been a while since I've played Modern Warfare, but I think maybe it was something where you could, unlock more loadouts or whatever. But it was funny that you mentioned like the kill streaks. Yeah. So I do want to reference something that someone brought up on Reddit.
There it is. First fun fact from Reddit.
This was from Moonlands. So thank you, Moonlands. He says, kind of technical, but for Call of Duty Black Ops 2, the DSR-50 sniper rifle fires so slow that it's impossible to get a quad feed medal without killing 2 or more people at once, otherwise known as collaterals. So you would have to like fire either through somebody or like blow up an explosive container. But that's so cool to me because
that's neat.
Because then you have to be tactical. If you want to get this kill streak as a sniper, you don't just go around firing willy-nilly. You have to take your time and actually plan your shots. That's
impressive.
That's impressive for Call of Duty especially. Because they, games like Battlefield.
That's a technicality I would expect in Battlefield.
Yeah, where they account for bullet drop and all that.
But, the wind speed can matter, and it can be different the next time you play that the same level.
And so
weather
to see Call of Duty, even though they didn't incorporate things like bullet drop, but to have that.
Well, that's really interesting. I'm wondering, do you know? Okay, so I read this, and I don't know if it's a newer generation thing, but they said that most first-person shooters are modern ones. When you pull the trigger on your gun, there is a programmed projectile fired out of it. It doesn't look like it's like a code, but there's literally, if quote unquote, I'm going to say this, if you were in that world, a physical thing leaving the gun. It's not just, I always assumed it was kind of like tag data, the game's doing it itself. It's animating bullet fire, but like there's really no. And I'm wondering if they realize that because it's apparently it saves a bunch of hard drive or RAM and processing speed. If you actually have physical or projectiles coming out of it.
Really?
That's what they said. They figured it was easier to communicate with all the software if it was
Wow.
actual stuff coming out of it.
That's actually surprising to me. I feel like that would, in my mind, that would take up so much more.
Sorry, guys. We just got a flash
Dave
flood
just showed
warning.
me his phone. We
It's
had to
pretty
pause for a
dark
second.
outside now that I think about it.
So apparently we're going to have a flash flood. And if
Well,
this
guys,
recording stops, then
This is it. It was a good run.
No, we're going to keep going.
And what were we talking about?
we were talking about
the bullet speed
the bullets
stuff.
actually
So
being there.
I'm wondering if they realize that, and then they're like, guys, we can start calculating like actual bullet speed and bullet fall. And it was a very early
right.
They're like, guys, this is how guns work.
Yeah.
If we can finally now have the draw distance, realistic draw distance, a bullet's going to slow down. Might do less damage. Might do this, that, and the other.
It probably helped them figure out their algorithm for things like accuracy of a gun as well.
And it's like it was cool that certain guns had fire strength that could punch through objects better than other guns. That was another. If you're standing near a corner, that was important.
And I'm not saying that this was the first game to ever do it, because I'm sure that it wasn't, but I think that Modern Warfare was the first game that I remember playing that you could shoot through the walls and it felt right. It felt like, if I saw somebody,
realistic.
Yeah, like if I saw somebody hiding behind like a sheet of tin, I would say, "Oh, I can get them."
Yeah, like if they're hiding behind a car with the door, if like a door was open,
right,
you're gonna hit them.
Yeah,
or like just like a wooden box. I'm like, I can shoot you through this for sure.
Yeah.
It would work. You could kill them.
And you didn't get that in a lot of games during that era. I mean, Call of Duty honestly kind of set the foundation for what they really did set the foundation for two things. First of all, what online multiplayer was going to look like for the next 10 years. I mean, we're still
in it. Yeah, they really did pull something. They changed the world.
And then they also set a new standard for first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Every single first-person shooter now, you can raise the iron sights.
Yep.
And you have the reload animations.
You have to.
You have the climbing animations, like every single one now.
Because there is no better way to do it. We were attempting it beforehand, like you said, with Halo and stuff, but there was no, it really wasn't as realistic as you'd like it to be.
Right.
Modern Warfare 2 was phenomenal as well. It kind of hit on some heavier notes. Zach and I were talking a little earlier. And I was talking to Jijan at work as well, right near the end of the day. We were talking about the newest game coming out this October, Modern Warfare.
Okay,
Modern Warfare. And they're calling it a soft reboot. The character Captain Price is still in it.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It looks beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's what they're doing. And we can, I don't want to get into that quite yet, but Modern Warfare 2 had a lot of elements and themes that they said that they will be, I think, hearkening back to for the new game.
Okay.
Because there were, especially for the story, there were some really dark, heavy moments that are, realistic horrors of real life. Like there was the mission No Russian.
Yeah.
Where you are
terrifying.
You're playing a Black Ops agent, basically, who has infiltrated a Russian terrorist group. You are with this terrorist group, you're laying low, you're undercover, and you go to an airport.
Yeah.
And their goal, their act of terrorism is to shoot the airport up. And you have to do this because if you don't, they'll discover you're obviously an undercover agent and kill you. And if they kill you, you will not stop like the nuclear device that's about to.
Right.
So it's killing you. But you play this mission and they give you the option to skip it.
Because it was disturbing.
It's disturbing.
It was a very disturbing mission.
When that level comes up, there's a literal warning that pops up on your screen saying that this is extremely disturbing. You are shooting civilians.
I think that
unarmed.
That game was only rated T for teen.
No. That's a hard M.
I thought it was.
Those games have I think they've been hard M since. I mean, there's been blood and stuff since.
Oh yeah.
Modern Warfare.
I misread. I was reading one of the Reddit comments. I read it backwards.
Believe that.
But no, it was.
It was heavy, but it was such a good. I remember. I'm still talking about it. That affected me so well.
Well, and that was one of those missions too that it did cause an uproar. Like people in the media and all that stuff. Like anywhere that you looked on, like news, they were talking about it. It was a big deal, and it was. Obviously, it was post 9/11.
Sure.
So post that heightened airport security,
yeah.
and
it was 09, I believe.
Yeah, and it's very. I mean, of the time.
I think that's why they chose an airport too.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was poignant and it's something that we were sort of used to.
And it's an area that you think of as very secure.
Yeah.
So,
horrifyingly
so they really kind of stepped out with that. But I do want to talk about also World at War.
Oh, introduction of Nazi zombies.
Yeah. So first of all, World at War.
Nazi zombies, a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
As I like to call it. Yeah.
I loved World at War.
Oh, it was great.
Some people, it wasn't their favorite, but going I think what people didn't like about it was you went from having these awesome high tech, hollow sights and red dot sights and future
current
weapons.
weaponry.
Yeah. To iron sights only.
It was the first game back to the World War II era, but with the updated engines of Modern Warfare, correct?
Right.
It was like after Modern Warfare come out, World at War came out.
And it was a new, so it was developed by Treyarch and published. Goodness gracious, published by Activision.
Okay.
Whereas the other ones were Infinity Ward.
Yes.
And published by Activision. Yeah. I cannot say published by Activision.
Published.
If you can say published by Activision, normally send us a clip. Franchiseunpacked@gmail.com.
Yeah, and it was so much. Well, all we did in that game was Nazi zombies. When my buddies in college, Jijan bought an extra PS4 controller. I remember that day. Bought the game, bought an extra PS4 controller. We would sit and just take turns rotating, see how many waves we could get.
Oh, yeah.
That first game, it was so good. It was simple zombies. You were in this area. You could unlock the other rooms, but there was nothing else, no extraneous adventuring.
Right.
Which we'll get into. But like, it was just like, hey, how many of these guys can we survive? How many good weapons can we get? What's the best way to hunker ourselves in? And I love wave survival.
Well,
I love it.
It was wave survival, but they took it up a notch because you could find like the teddy bear.
Yeah.
And
Black Ops.
Was the Black Ops one with the teddy bear? I thought you could do it in...
I think you could in World at War.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
You could.
The best, I think, Nazi zombies, though, it was either Black Ops 1 or 2. There was the farm level.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wasn't that... I think that was one.
I think that was the first Black Ops.
We are going to get just...
We are. But I remember you were in like radiation suits and you're running around this farm, and my friends and I we were up to 4 players. You could do 4-player on a Xbox. We would hunker down in that farmhouse. We would get so good at covering our corners. We would level 30 or something. Like, it was crazy. Too many zombies that you shouldn't last that long. It was so much fun.
And the one thing though that I'm genuinely just curious about, and I haven't really found an answer for this. So they go back and forth. By the way, is it Treyarch or Treyarch? Treyarch. They go back and forth between Treyarch and Infinity Ward, like for every other game.
Does Treyarch still exist?
I think so. Yeah, I think they did.
I feel like it's one of those things that should have been bought by Infinity Ward. Oh, wow.
They did Black Ops 4, yeah. But it was... So we'll get to that because I have
a hard stop after about Black Ops 2 when things start getting real shady.
And so I kind of feel the same way. Like they started to turn into, I don't want to say shovelware because they weren't, but they lost a little bit of that initial magic, I think.
It became future again.
Yeah.
It all became, you started introducing like even the Black Ops games. The cool thing about Black Ops were they were of another era we hadn't seen, of the 60s, 70s, and 80s in Black Ops 1 and 2. But then you start, and technically I found out World at War is technically the first in the Black Ops series.
Yeah.
So even before Black Ops 1, because you are in World War II, you're in like kind of a behind enemy line sort of situation. You're not an agent, but you're special ops.
Yeah.
But after 2, I'm like, guys, don't take this into present day, or at least the Black Ops series. Yeah. Keep this in the 60s through the 80s with the Colt. That's awesome.
But
I think really cool.
That's where you start to run into those snags where you have 2 different companies, publishing 2 different games.
And you've got the Modern Warfare games, they started producing those the jumpsuits, the power suits and stuff. And
which a lot of people love. That. I mean,
I guess, but it's like it takes the realism out. Too,
it came off of the back of what was it?
There was Infinite Warfare was the one with Kevin Spacey, and that was in the future.
Yeah,
I think.
but that's
a real turd.
But all of that time though was right around Titanfall.
Yeah,
when everybody, you had the mechs and you could jump and you could fly.
The ability to convert into more power. Was
which
cool.
I get it. It wasn't exactly my thing, but I do get it because that's something that if you want to keep continuing in the modern or future warfare type thing,
sure,
then you eventually have to go to something
like laser guns. And
something that's closer to a Halo than a Call of Duty.
I think there could have been just a more fun, clean version with like experimental tech in the 80s. That would have been fun to see, like experimental drones.
That would
kind
be
of
cool.
like how Metal Gear Solid 5
almost like a Fallout. Of Call of Duty
future tech that obviously wasn't around. Right. But have fun with it with limits.
I have to admit something to you and to our audience.
Yeah.
I had my foot up for a little while. Totally asleep.
Pins and needles.
I seriously, I can't feel a thing. I kind of want to stand up.
We had a friend who fell asleep on her when she was asleep, got out of bed, broke her ankle.
What?
Because all her weight went out and didn't know it was asleep.
No.
It was so asleep she couldn't even, like it hadn't pins and needled yet. You know, that feeling?
No, yeah.
And she put her natural weight on it to take a step and went right down.
Wow.
Real bad. Yeah.
Don't tell that to Shelby. You know, she doesn't have.
Good thing she doesn't listen.
Yeah, she just likes to break that fibula.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe.
But it you start getting into this like space and that sort of thing, and that's fine. But don't call it Black Ops. Don't call it Modern Warfare.
Right.
I'd like to give me then the Infinite Warfare series.
Yeah.
Go off that. Give me a third series, and it can be produced by both Treyarch and Infinity Ward. So then there might be some semblance. Or go back and forth between World War II and the future. How cool would that be?
Like on the same game, you mean?
Gap. You're playing the great-great-grandson of the guy, and then could be a very allegory, you know.
So, I mean, this whole franchise, you guys, oh my gosh, we're already at, oh my goodness. So we have a timer that we keep an eye on, and we could talk about this franchise. We could talk about one game in this franchise. We
should get into the upcoming, the future, I think.
Yeah, so typically we like to do, past, present, and future. The present of the franchise, we can just kind of touch on real quick. We already did a little bit.
What's the current one that's out?
Black Ops 4 was the most recent one, which I did buy.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I have not played it.
It's not bad. It doesn't have, for me anyway, it doesn't have the same magic as the earlier ones. But me and my buddies, we went on and we played the new zombies mode, and they have so many fun,
I want to talk to you about that. Yeah. Have they reined it in a little bit back? Because the zombies got to the point where it was like, you can no longer stay in one spot anymore.
No, and
that really bugs me.
That's this one too.
That really depresses me. I want to hunker down literally in the same house until I die.
Yeah.
It's one area, keep it. I understand the traveling and opening up new areas and stuff, and getting through it, but it's wave survival. Just throw them at me.
And it was cool though, because it was still the wave survival, but they made it more of this giant loop. So so you could be hunkering down, but also on the move, and you could kind of set up traps and soft block yourself for a little bit while you explore. It was a lot of fun. I actually had a really good time with it. The only reason that I didn't continue playing it was because we just moved on to a new game.
Yeah, it happens.
The group chat.
Whereas I remember Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 had multiplayer staying power in a first-person shooter that I had never seen. You would keep going back to it. I even kept going back to it when I moved to New York and stuff. My friends, because we could, when I remember Black Ops 1 I had right when I moved to New York, and my roommate Joe Campbell, who still lives out there, shout out to Joe in Brooklyn, he and I would just, we'd just play, because you could do split screen and level up separately, which was also awesome.
Well, and split screen for zombies too was
the best.
And that was so much fun because that was
hours. You could just the rest of the night zombies.
I remember some of my fondest memories because that was World at War. I couldn't think of that for a second. That came out my senior year of high school. So for me, and really senior year of high school, freshman year of college, that was what I was playing. I remember that my dad had this big, huge 70-inch TV, the HD. I don't think it was 4K at that. No, it definitely was not 4K. Yeah. But I remember, in my room, I had the crappy the dinky TV that was 720p, and I wanted something that was 1080.
Sure.
So, we would go and we would, hook everything up to the big screen and just sit in this family room for hours. We would sit there until 4 a.m. and
literally at the same level, same rep, just wave after wave after wave. But it was so dynamic. It was always fun, and you'd always be like, "All right, I'm going to try covering these 2 windows this time." And
then somebody would get the laser gun.
Yeah, and then it's guys, we're going to 5 more waves.
I gotta say though, you always had the one friend when they got the laser gun, they would die immediately.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was that friend, but.
With that mystery box. Ooh, that mystery box. So exciting. But let's talk a little bit. Yeah, we'll get into the future. That's the present. Get into a little bit of the future of the franchise with the new Modern Warfare.
Yep.
I hope they have a zombie mode. I'm also hoping, these are kind of my wishes for it, if they do have a zombie mode. We've gotten Fallout 4 has coming out. They've been able to do where you can build your own forts. Let's do that.
That'd
Put
be
me
awesome.
In a junkyard.
Well,
zombies start coming, and there's a little bit of time in between waves to maybe build another wall.
As long as it doesn't become Fortnite.
No. I don't want Fortnite. No.
Yeah.
That's why I said you can maybe only build in between waves.
Right.
And it's not you have to gather the materials, and maybe you're guys, I only can put up a wall and carve a window out of it.
So
that's
if we're
all
talking
we got.
about our future hopes and ideas.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. What if, and this might be too much, it genuinely might be, what if in between rounds, instead of walking up first person mode, it actually takes you to like this top down Sims view.
That'd be cool.
And that's where you can spend your points and,
it would be,
build out some walls.
And
there.
it would tighten it up. It would be a little bit easier probably for the process. Whereas like, in Fallout, we
won't see it on this game.
Yeah,
you
wouldn't see it.
I think it'll be in
the future. But with like Fallout, you could fine tune the position just by walking slowly. But it would be like a little bit more of a grid system for that. But I also really hope it's like a nice, I don't want too much future stuff in it. I think it's going to be 2019, 2020. It'll be set. Maybe, there's always like technology that you're like, that can't exist. But, like some of the radar technology and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to me too, because, the more that we researched this and looked into it, we saw that it did go beyond just video games. There was, it looks like there was a 6-part comic book miniseries, and I straight up lifted that from Wikipedia. So I am that sentence I am plagiarizing. Yes. But I didn't know that. I did not know that there was this comic series that followed around that.
Huh.
And obviously, people have done various short films, things like that on YouTube.
Sure.
Sort of an homage. But what would you want to see? So I kind of want to go, before we get into the audience section of this, what do you want to see out of, let's say, the game after Advanced Warfare? Let's say, or not Advanced Warfare, goodness gracious. What do you want to see out of the new Modern Warfare? And then what do you want to see beyond that?
Yeah, with the new Modern Warfare, like I said, I want it, back, more realism, less future stuff. I want drama, heavy drama in that story mode. They're really good at it, with that. Yeah. I would love to see, just this, I don't want to say throwback, but I really would love to see all of a really awesome update in multiplayer somehow. I don't, they've done it before.
Yeah.
I think they can do it again without doing Battle Royale. Like that's run its course already for me. I'm tired of Battle Royale.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
I did hear, I have a question in the Black Ops 4. I think it's Black Ops 4. The Battle Royale mode, isn't the whole map other multiplayer maps from the previous games connected like in a logical way? Like you could walk to Nuketown from like one of the, it's like,
I don't know for
sense.
sure because I only played a little bit of the Battle Royale. I didn't play much of it. But it was beautiful.
Massive. And that's why I think it is that one.
Yeah.
It's so big.
It looked great. It felt great.
Vehicles? That's what you need in Battle Royale.
I think there were vehicles. If we're going to do Battle
Royale, give me a lot of vehicles. Make it like a battlefield.
But again, I only played the Battle Royale mode once, I think. So I really couldn't tell you on that one.
What do you want to see though in this new game? Because it's hard to say in the future. It's just like, I want more.
Right.
And I don't want robot stuff. So like,
I think for me, and I don't mean this in any sort of way to knock Call of Duty, but I think that we need to see Call of Duty do. We need to see them do what they did with Modern Warfare, with the first one. I want to see them reinvent the wheel, but do it right, because they did that with first person shooters. And it wasn't even that they reinvented the wheel. They took the wheel and said, let's make the wheel bigger, beefier, and rounder,
Yeah.
And I think they can do that again. I don't know what that solution is. I do love the idea of sort of combining the Call of Duty feel with the Division.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where maybe it's this giant open world and you just have to go through and your missions are maybe spaced out GTA style.
That could be very cool.
A little bit less on rails.
Almost like that Metal Gear, like where this town's miles away. Traveling there, we might run into another insurgency group. That is an interesting take.
Because then it would let the story, in my opinion,
could become Far Cry, though.
It could, but I think.
But in this environment, that could be cool. A Far Cry in a war where you have to go back to your camp or something, like
right,
and you can join up with squads and
where
stuff.
Where it's not necessarily just you. Where it's like you have you're with your squad.
You could constantly either join up with friends who are playing, or you can choose to hire mercs or something like your own personal Black Ops team.
I would love that.
That'd be dope. And I think it would be kind of a closer to Black Hawk Down if they did ever do like a miniseries or a movie, because I believe that the games themselves they do take heavily from film, which as they should. Yeah. And like there's no more beautiful medium sometimes than in more closer to realism, So
I think that for me though, I don't want to see a movie or a TV show.
We don't need it. Like I said, we have you have Black Hawk Down. If you want to watch Call of Duty, watch any of or like Tears of the Sun or something like that.
We have so many war movies, and I think the
really
thing that
can't do much.
The thing that makes Call of Duty so special is not the story. I mean, don't get me wrong, the stories that are there are awesome, but it's not the story that makes it special. It's how it feels to play.
I have to say, an amazing recent war film, Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan. Oh my
gosh, yeah.
Phenomenal. And it's the closest thing I kind of would say to seeing like if you want to look at like a World War II Call of Duty style, because it's bouncing between characters and there's really no like, you're seeing different spots of warfare. And
right.
It is not a war movie that you're used to. That's why I recommend it. It is gritty and it's in there, and like it doesn't show like, there's always the generals sitting in rooms. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
And so, okay, so as far as our thoughts go, again, we could honestly do one episode per, and I think we're going to need to do a part 2.
Yeah, I would love to just touch on Modern Warfare.
Guys, let us know if you guys want to see a part 2 of Call
I got
of Duty.
the remastered Modern Warfare too, dude. It's awesome. It's really good.
And so, but I do want to touch on some of these awesome responses on Reddit. So we have a ton of these. You guys, we're not going to be able to get to them all because we just genuinely don't have time. But please feel free to keep submitting these. And if we get enough of these, we're going to just go ahead and do a second episode of this right away. So the top comment right now by Bezie, Beziee, that's 2 E's. I kind of slurred that on Reddit. So the headshot sound from World at War was made up from using a piece. They took a piece of celery and broke it, and they hit it and hitting a World War II helmet with a hammer. So like that was how they got that crazy. That was a thick headshot sound. Like you
clunk,
can,
something going through something. Yeah.
And I thought that was so interesting too, because I never would have thought of that celery, because that is such a gross, wet, like, just nasty sound. And then that same user was, I'm just going to read a few of these that he listed off here. World at War didn't have camos in the game because there wasn't enough disk space. Did not know that. Black Ops 2 had the first DLC weapon. Call of Duty 4 had the first variety map pack. And Call of Duty 3's levels reset every time you logged on, which that's kind of nuts.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean,
I got another fun one here. It kind of harkens back to what we talked about earlier with Medal of Honor. This is from Paradox in Raindrops. And they say, after a group of disgruntled Medal of Honor developers got tired of the publisher they were working under, they formed Infinity Ward, where their quote unquote Medal of Honor killer project would go on to become known as Call of Duty.
Really?
History would go on to repeat itself in 2010 when Jason West and Vince Zampella engaged publisher Activision in a prolonged legal battle over royalties owed. So in 2012, the two left Infinity Ward, creating Respawn Entertainment, known for the Titanfall series and Apex Legends with their newest game.
That's where we get a lot of that Titanfall feel, yeah.
Their newest game will be Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which I'm so excited coming out this November. Oh, so that's crazy that we mentioned Titanfall, and I'm wondering if they're like, well, we've got a lot of sorry guys, we just paused. There's a lot of sirens and fire.
Hear that.
Fire trucks outside.
Flash floods are real.
It's the end of days. No,
that's really. We got to get this podcast published.
That's kind of cool that we brought those up, because they had such a feel to those other games, and you wonder, you're like, oh no, were they just like desperately trying to copy because they lost these creators and stuff, or what?
Yeah. And then another one that I thought was really interesting from Elevate. So the highest selling Call of Duty game was Modern Warfare 3.
Ooh,
30 million units.
It makes sense because 1 and 2 were so good, but 3 started, I think, some of the downfall.
A little bit, I agree.
Well, because 2 and then didn't Black Ops come out between 2 and 3? And that's why it was still cool.
Yes,
it was
I think so.
1 and 2, Black Ops 1 and 2 are still cool. And I love that too. At the end, spoiler, at the end of Black Ops, you find the main character. He was the grassy knoll shooter.
And I will say too, so not to like totally change topic, but like Modern Warfare 3, although I don't think it was as good as the first 2, I still enjoyed it. But that was also, I mean, I have to be fair to it, because at that time I was starting to not play as much like Call of Duty style games. Just in general, I just kind of started moving over to more like story-based games, things like that, and like Skyrim, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I had backed away a little bit at that point.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. And I'm reading some of these other things, people saying they kind of dropped off. There were other comments saying like, "Oh yeah, I only played up till like Modern Warfare 2, or I didn't play any of the Black Ops stuff." But yeah, it's just kind of fascinating watching a literal titan kind of drown in its own glory. It's funny. The AMC, you know, the television station. Yeah. They said, I read this article about how like how mighty the mighty fall. Like it has when you have Mad Men and Breaking Bad and then get Walking Dead and you're just this juggernaut. You don't then stop being original and then just bleed one of your franchises dry.
Right.
Like The Walking Dead they said at the end of the article, like AMC has drowned itself in zombies.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why Nazi zombies and the aspect of that game, it almost became too much. People were looking for it too much. Yeah. Or the multiplayer. I mean, that's the thing about these games. I always buy it first and foremost for the multiplayer.
Yes.
And then quickly after second is story.
From what I remember, there wasn't even a story mode in Black Ops 4.
So let's stop that. Let's give me another campaign in a story mode or make it a cool. It can be both multiplayer and story if you want to go that route, like you were talking, open world style. But don't put all your eggs in one basket and then overdevelop I think that
by the looks of this new Modern Warfare, it looks like they're trying to give themselves a little bit of a reboot. They're giving themselves
They called it a soft reboot. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Again.
I shouldn't say rising from the ashes. They've made more money and sold more games than most most companies ever would. Yeah. There was another comment from Goldblood Q6R. And this just has a few rapid fires. So I'm just going to kind of read down the list here. Modern Warfare 2 was the first to introduce a variety of secondary weapons like shotguns, small machine pistols, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was also the first one to introduce third-person shooting into a Call of Duty game, which I don't really remember that as much.
Shooting.
World at War. So that's obviously where the zombies mode started. It was a hidden game mode that only showed up when you finished the campaign. And then after a patch, it showed up for everybody.
You could unlock it. Yeah. That's kind of why people bought the game.
Which was wise of them to then do that as a patch.
But that's so cool that you create like this almost Easter egg thing. It's like having a side B song and that becomes the top one, your biggest hit of all time.
Well, and then same thing with World at War. Apparently, speaking of Easter eggs, the same user. You can find the ray gun in one of the campaign missions. Mm-hmm. I actually did not know that until today, I was reading this.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's just nuts to me. And obviously, there are, you guys, we could read through these forever, and we want to.
They're fascinating. It's fun.
We read a lot of these, and a lot of them, stuff that we kind of were talking about. But I mean, there's so many cool. This community on Reddit is awesome because they're pointing out like.
Statistics and like
the holographic sight lowered the recoil on the M16.
If you equip this red dot sight to an AK-47, its damage drops. Right. I'm like, what? I didn't even know that. I mean, I'm sure I knew that and was reading the statistics, but like the fact they have all the numbers and it's just incredible, guys. Thank you so much.
I still can't get over the fact that it was called Medal of Honor Killer.
Yeah, MOH Killer.
MOH Killer.
I love it.
That's just incredible.
I love the bitterness of gamers.
Yeah.
They can truly, it's also it's a double-edged sword, but so you get some of the best creative ideas out of pure revenge.
Absolutely.
And bitterness.
And I got to say too, like, just another thanks to the Reddit community because researching this was very difficult. I was surprised at like the lack of resources to get sort of the nitty gritty details.
All I was seeing was just dates and numbers.
Yeah.
And like you can like read a description of the plots of the games, but I'm like, it felt very Wikipedia was it. And I was like, I hope these guys are reckon.
Well, and I think that just speaks volumes though to what this franchise has done because even though there's not all this trivia and obviously there are tons of facts about it, but like it's not this huge juggernaut of trivia. It's a juggernaut of experience.
It's touching on the zeitgeist currently, and it's really nice. I hope that they continue if they listen to the fans. I'm sure there will be a Nazi zombie mode. It would be almost fun if they just soft rebooted the very first Nazi zombie.
Oh level. Yeah. I would love that.
That would be awesome from World at War.
So the other thing that I wanted to say is I remember, and this just totally came back to me, in the first Modern Warfare, I decided that was going to be my first game that I played through on like the veteran mode.
Yeah. Oh man.
And I got stuck at the last mission. And a buddy of mine told me that he beat it on veteran. And that just like fueled this thing in me. I was like, I
have to do it.
Yeah, like I had it. And I think I ended up beating it. But man, veteran mode on those games is
one shot kill.
Yeah.
It's realism. Yeah, no HUD.
Usually 2 shots. But like sometimes it was 1 though. If you popped out and there was a powerful enough enemy, Headshot, you were down. Don, you're Don.
You're down.
Your name was Don in the game.
Don. You became Don.
But you guys, that's all the time that we have. We actually went a little bit over on our time.
We should play Nazi Zombies, I think, is one of our playthroughs.
Oh my goodness. I would love that. Yeah.
Coming up soon. We're going to a wedding this weekend, but that'll be a future weekend.
Yes.
Maybe even the following. That'd be a lot of fun.
So we'll definitely make that happen. And you guys, thank you again for submitting some of these facts to us.
Yes.
Honestly, we have so many that we weren't expecting that we're going to have to do a second episode on this. Whether that's, it probably won't be next week, but it'll be, one of these upcoming weeks we'll sit down, map out another episode for this.
Sure.
But
it might just like a little bonus mini episode.
Yeah. And the other thing too is
fact.
If you guys have any like facts or trivia or videos or gameplay of yourself, like you got like a really awesome kill streak, something like that.
Yes.
Send that in to us at franchiseunpacked@gmail.com. We check that email literally every day. So
if it's cool enough video, we'll probably put it on the YouTube.
Yeah,
you got a good kill streak going.
If we have your permission, we put it on the YouTube or on the Instagram too.
Let's just put it this way: we figure if anybody sends anything to our Gmail, unless they say otherwise, and you include your name, we will use your name. If you would prefer us to use your screen name, that's totally fine. But if you do send it, no, you're kind of giving us the right to at least mention it.
Yeah.
If you want us only to use your first name, please let us know. Don't include your last name.
Yeah.
We will only say things that you include in the body or show in the body of your email message.
Yeah.
Or show your body. We'll show your body.
Let's just be clear. Do not send us your body.
Send us your
photos of your body. No, Dave, no.
But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Goodness gracious, where did this go?
You can remember to check us out on Instagram at Franchise Unpacked.
Yep.
You can find me on Instagram at the Dave of Wonders.
You can find me on Instagram at the Zach Rogers.
And I think that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, we're gonna go build a canoe to get out of this flash flood.
Yeah,
cool.
Scary.
We love you, nerds. We'll see ya.
See you later.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. The next franchise we'll be unpacking is The Matrix. But in the meantime, feel free to drop us a line with any questions, comments, or future episodes at franchiseunpacked@gmail.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, and be sure to share so we can keep these episodes coming your way. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.